So this video is going to cover producer surplus. And producer surplus is simply the benefit to producers, the benefit of a market to producers. So we're going to get down to putting that on this graph and calculating it in just a second. But first we need to understand what's going in the market. So I made a different market this time than I did for the consumer surplus video. And so we're just going to go ahead and to give you a little more practice with finding the equilibrium price and quantity, we're going to go ahead and solve that here. So I've gone ahead and drawn the lines that are represented here algebraically. So the demand curve is that price is equal to 100 minus quantity in green, and the supply curve is that price is equal to quantity, which is in orange. So setting supply and demand equal to find the equilibrium quantity, or actually maybe, well, no, we're going to find the equilibrium, yes, we're going to find the equilibrium quantity. Sorry about that, little brain fart. Okay, so we have 100 minus Q is equal to Q. Adding Q to both sides, we have 100 is equal to 2Q, and then that gives us, dividing 2 into both sides, that Q is equal to 50. And then plugging Q back into here, we get that P is equal to $50. So we have, if this is point A right here, we have an equilibrium quantity of 50 and an equilibrium price of $50. So now we are going to go figure out what is producer surplus. And you may have already guessed this by now, but producer surplus is the area, so I'll just go ahead and write this right here. It is also the area below equilibrium price, so I'm just going to write P, below P and above the supply line, above S. And here's the logic. In this market, there is one producer that would be willing to sell his good. Let's say that this is the market for, what do you pay $50 for? You pay $50 for a cell phone, let's say. So this will be the market for phones. So there's one producer that would be willing to sell one phone for $1. That's this guy right here. But he gets to sell it in this market for $50. So he gets a surplus of $49. Then the next guy, the next producer in this market would be willing to sell or maybe it's the same one, and he would be willing to sell a second cell phone for $2. Or there's another guy that would be willing to sell a cell phone, excuse me, bad choice of words for this problem, for $2. But he gets to sell it for $50 also, because we have this market where everyone sells their phones at the same price. And I hope that this logic is looking a little familiar now. The third guy would be willing to sell a phone for $3, and so he gets to sell it for $50 still. And so his surplus is 57 minus 3 is 47, and the red guy got $48 of surplus. And if you keep on doing this for every single sale in this market, for every single sale, you see that producer surplus is this triangle right here, which is exactly the area below equilibrium price, below 50, and above supply. So now let's just calculate what producer surplus is in this market. And since we have a triangle, we're just going to use just the area of a triangle, which is just 1/2 times the base, which is, the base is from here to here, which is 50 units, because we found out that equilibrium quantity is equal to 50. And then the height is also 50, because we found out that equilibrium price is 50. So 1/2 times 50 times 50. 50 times 50 is 100. Divided by 2 is going to be $1,250. So that is the producer surplus for this market for phones. That's all I want to say about producer surplus. The last thing that I want to say in this video is that if we take producer surplus and consumer surplus together, we get total surplus. So in this market, consumer surplus would be this area right here in red. And if we add these two together, we have total surplus, and this is just a definition, just completely and totally by definition, that total surplus is consumer surplus plus producer surplus. So we have consumer surplus we have producer surplus right here. And consumer surplus is going to be the exact same thing because we have 100 minus 50 times 50. So this is also equal to 1250. And this is not necessarily the case, but just with this example it is. So then total surplus in this market, which is the benefit of this market to society. So I should probably write that down. So total surplus is the benefit to society of this market. And so in this example, total surplus is equal to 1,250, and there's no comma there, there's a comma there, which is our producer surplus, plus another $1,250, which is our consumer surplus. So total surplus is $2,500. So with that, I will see you in the next video.